Why would you care?
like that formation of philosophy.
But you realize that Doug Blair is a far superior guitar player in every way. He's a better player, he's a better performer, he's better in every way than Chris is. So, and Doug has been in this band really since 1992, far longer than Chris was ever in this band. Chris left twice by his own choice. He was not fired. That's his choice. So he made his decision as to what he wants to do in life. He decided that he wanted to go live in obscurity, and he's doing just that. So that was his choice. So no one can make anybody do anything they don't want to do. He thought he was going to be better. Let me put it this way. If any performer thinks they can be Elvis Presley on their own, they're crazy. They can't do it. They need a band to do it with. I don't do it by myself. If he thinks he can do it by himself, that's his choice. Yes, sir.
When was the first time when you take the microphone, when you understand that you can sing, first you sing or first you take your guitar?
Oh, it was guitar first.
Or at the same time?
No. I was about 8 when I started playing guitar. My brother had a guitar, and so I would go in his room and play it. And I didn't really start singing until I was probably about 12, 13, something like that. But the idea of playing and singing at the same time, I never even thought of that. I mean, the first thing I needed to do was learn how to play the instrument. And that took a few months to learn that. But then, with all the records that my mother had around the house and my sister, I would just listen to those records, and that's when I started playing and singing. So it didn't all happen at the same time. It just, happened at different stages. But I'm doing it now. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Do you have a favorite album from the 80s by another band?
I don't think so. Because I think of the 80s, I think it all as one piece of work, by all the bands that did it. So I couldn't choose just one record. Can you? No. But neither can I. I mean, that's impossible. Yes, sir.
So, Blackie, I wanted to ask you, through your years of experience as an artist, have you developed any tips that help you get into creativity mode when you want to start working on new ideas?
That's a tough one. Why do you ask that?
Because it's nice to get from a wiser person on
Do
the
you
part.
write?
Well, I was. But it's something that concerns me because I always loved your work as a creator in general, in music.
I saw a quote by Pablo Picasso, and he said, when inspiration comes, it hopes it finds you working. That's a good one, because if you're one of those kind of people that cannot work unless you have inspiration, which I am guilty of that, it's very difficult. Some guys like Stephen King, he says he starts every morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, he starts writing. And I don't know how you do that. If you don't know what you want to write about, how can you write? I don't know. So I don't know if I can answer that question for you, because I think there's two kinds of people: those that work off inspiration, like me, and those that just sit down and work. And I've heard of both kinds. I don't know how the other guys do it. You know, for me, I need inspiration, and that you can't always predict when that's going to happen. But like I said, it's not the same for everybody. You know, so that's only for me. So, you know, don't go by what I'm telling you, because that may not be the same for you. You know, you might be the category where you can just sit down and just write. You know, I've tried it, and I just get frustrated, you know, and I get up and walk away, you know. But when I'm inspired, then it comes much easier. So, like I said, you would have to find out what works best for you, because I don't think any one way can work for everybody. Yes, sir?
I don't have questions.
Nothing?
I forgot my own name.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we get finished, if you think of something, we'll come back, okay?
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir?
I have a non-musician question. Which country or city do you always love to going back to when you are on tour in live?
Are you asking because of the fans, or
Yes.
what? There's some good ones. I mean, where we were the last show,
Usually not. In Slovakia.
they were insane.
I'm from Slovakia.
I mean, that's one of the best crowds we ever played to,
550,
you know, so. But I also think that crowds are different, because it's not just the country. I think sometimes it's how they feel as an audience, because an audience acts like a person sometimes. Sometimes they're in a good mood, sometimes they're not in a good mood, you know, so it depends on the night, depends on the band. There's a lot of things that go on. I think any city can be great at any time. I think any city can be bad at any time. There was one situation, us and Maiden, we did a tour in '86, and we played Munich. And we went out, we went on first, and we did like 5 songs. And the audience was just standing there. Nothing. After each song, just nothing. No applause, no booing, nothing, you know. And after 5 songs, I got aggravated and left. Maiden comes out. They do 4 songs. Audience still stand there. Bruce curses them out and leaves. And that was it. The show was over. Now, we have been back to Munich many times since then, and they've been fantastic. Why were they like that night? I cannot tell you. I mean, we had it happen one time in Corpus Christi, Texas, like that too. We were playing with Kiss, and we did half our show and we left. Hey, you know, if the audience is just going to stand there like this, you know, then I guess you don't want us. You know, I'm not going to stand there and take that, you know. We had it happen one time like that in Amsterdam as well, but I think those guys were all high, you know, so I think we left after about 4 or 5 songs. They're probably still standing there thinking we're coming back. You know, and that was 20 years ago.
Cool,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
So I will translate for this one.
Oh, okay.
So first of this gentleman, his question was that do you think you will retire at one point, or
Do we what?
would you retire at one point, or do you play as long as you can?
What do you do when you retire?
Like, would you retire from playing music and doing tours and playing concerts?
No, I understand, but why would someone retire?
So he is interested in how long can he watch your tours or concerts, or how well is your health?
Guys retire and they go fishing. You know, I can go fishing. I can go fishing whenever I want to. You know, I don't need to retire to do that. I don't understand why guys retire.
So he is wishing a very good health for a long time and for a big success for your band.
Well, tell him, thank you.
Okay. Then the second one is that in your eyes, what do you think was your most successful album?
Well, I think most people would say whatever their biggest selling record is, but I don't think you should judge records just by record sales. But I don't think I could name one record because they all serve different purposes. Like this record we're doing tonight, that record served a purpose. It told the world who we were. But then 5 years later, we do Headless. And without Headless, I'm not sitting here talking to you right now. Headless was a turning point for us. Without Headless, there's no Crimson Island. You know, so all those records serve as different markers in your career. You know, so you can't just say that any one record is going. Not if you have a real career. You can't say one record makes all the difference. It's usually a combination of a number of records, and those records all serve distinct purposes. Yes, sir.
Hi, Blackie.
Hi.
Thank you for this experience,
Thanks for having
and
me.
thank you, Jeff, and the team. My question is, have you ever felt demotivated? and when, if yes, how did you deal with it?
He asked about motivation. It's the same.
It's the same.
You know, I mean, everybody's going to wake up some days, and some days you just don't feel like doing anything. You know, but as far as motivation, I'm really lucky. You know, I'm one of those people that always has something going on in their head. You know, it's like there's always something I want to do. I mean, the only times I didn't feel like that was if something was happening, like, you know, what I just went through the last few years with my back and stuff. That sucked, you know, because you don't feel like doing anything, you know, until you heal. But other than that, I've always got something going on in here, or something I want to do. But everybody's going to have good days and bad days too, you know. So, but even a good day doesn't always translate into inspiration. You know, it can just be a good day, you know. But there can also be bad days that are very inspirational. And a lot of times the bad days are more inspirational than the good days. You know, so it's just a mix of things, you know. But like I said, I'm really lucky. You know, I don't suffer from depression. You know, we were having this conversation last night. We went out to dinner, and we were talking about what's going on with kids now, and it's probably because of the internet. All these kids are running around now, and they're all talking about they're depressed. You know, what the fuck are you depressed about? You know, there's no war going on. You have food to eat. You know, what are you depressed about? Go talk to your grandparents if you want to hear about depression. You know, like these kids, it's like they need a slap. You know, wake up. You know, it's like, it's unbelievable. You know, it's like, you know, 70, 80 years ago, that was something to be depressed about. You know, not today. So did you ever, where'd he go? Did you ever figure out your question? No? He's back there hiding. Yeah, you're going to leave here and you're going to think of 50 things you want to talk about. Anybody else?
Me.
Yes, sir.
All my life, I'm with a wasp t-shirt, and I'm looking at the core. Who is creator of this
Or
We all do it. Everybody has, their ideas, and we put them together. And like the person who did that shirt, he used to work for Metallica, and so we use a lot of different people for a lot of different things, and they'll show me the ideas, and then I take the ideas to the band, and we look at. So it's a collective idea of a lot of people. It's not just one person. But this idea for this circus type of setup, this is an idea I've had for a long, long time. And when we did Inside the Electric Circus, it was good, but it looked like a Las Vegas version of Inside the Electric Circus. I was never happy with it. This, I'm more happy with because it looks like the way I initially envisioned it. Something like an old circus sideshow. Not like a big flashy circus. Something more like a carnival, a very dark carnival. So, but I've had this idea since I was probably 17 or 18 years old, and it took 2 or 3 tries to get it right. And the guy that did these banners, that painted these, he lives up in the San Francisco area. There's only 2 guys in the United States now that paint these banners for circuses. He does it by hand, and he's really, really good. He's expensive, but when he was finished with his stuff, we looked at it and it was like, oh shit, look at that. I mean, it's really good. So you have to use those people that specialize in doing those kind of things, because if you don't, it's going to look like a cheap impersonation, of what you see in your head, and that usually doesn't work well. Anybody else?
any hints for next steps except for the continuation of
Sleep.
the US tour? Relaxation. Last shows, man.
In 5 days, I'm going to be home, and for the first week, I'm going to wake up every day. I'm going to look at the ceiling, and I'm not going to know where I am.
Where am I?
Yeah. And then, after the first few days, now what? I need to really get serious about finishing this book.
Yes.
So I'm about halfway finished with it. So I think I'm going to take the first few months when we're home to finish that book. And but I'm excited about finishing it. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's finished. It's going to be unlike any book, any rock and roll book you've ever read. It's not just about me. It's equally about the town, Hollywood, as much as it is me, because the formation of Hollywood went on to create the bands that came out of it, because it came from the motion picture industry first, and then it kind of developed into music in the 70s and certainly in the 80s. And so the way that the town influenced the musicians is equally as important as the musicians themselves. So I thought, when I first started writing the book, I thought it would be my story, and that seemed reasonable to me. But the more I started writing it and researching, I realized it was as much about the town, which is why the title Tales from the Square Mile, because it's about that 1 mile area, square mile area in Hollywood. And everything I did happened for 20 years in that little space, and when I first moved there, I was living in a closet that was 1 meter by 4 meters. I slept in that closet for a year on the floor. The last show that we played in Hollywood last year, the Hollywood Palladium, was right across the street. And I don't mean down the block. I mean right across the street from where I was sleeping in that closet.
So many memories. Yeah.
That walk from the closet to the Palladium is the longest walk you're ever going to take. But think about that. I've now had success. My world has changed in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it has not changed at all. I'm still back in the same place, playing in front of 5,000 people, where literally from that wall over there, that's where I was living in the closet. It was that close. I mean, You know what that does to your head?
Like it's
You know, you think, I used to live there, and now I'm here. How does that happen?
just
You know, so that's what the idea of Tales from the Square Mile is. I thought when we got a record deal, everything was going to change. And a lot of things did change. I mean, you're eating better food, you're driving a better car, things like that. But I would come back, even though I wasn't living in Hollywood anymore, I would come back there to work every day. So in some ways, a lot of things had changed, but in some ways, nothing had changed. Because I was still in the same place for 20 years working. And I can tell you a story about every square inch of that town, something that happened.
Something happened.
Unbelievable. When you guys read this book, you're going to think a lot of it is bullshit. But in the preface or the preface of the book, I write about 2 pages. I get to the end of it and I say, everything in this book that I have written, every word of it is true. Because a lot of people are going to read it and they're going to think there's no way that could have possibly happened. Because you hear a lot of musicians say, I should have been dead or in jail. And I say the same thing, but for different reasons. Theirs was because of drugs or alcohol. Mine was not that. Mine was because of anger.
Excuse me, because?
Anger. The amount of fights that I got in. And I was lucky that I didn't come up across a guy with a shotgun or a handgun that would have ended my life right then and there. So I was extremely fortunate to escape that. And when you read about some of these situations that I got out of, it's going to make the hair stand on your head. How did this guy survive that? You know, that's how I survived. You know. Anybody else?
I
Yeah.
have one question. Which band have you enjoyed touring with the most so far?
Maiden, because it's all part of the same management company and everything. It's like family, you know. So when we would tour together, we'd ride on each other's buses, you know. So it's like family for us. But that was a long time ago because both bands were still growing, and you reach a point where you have to go different directions, you know. But that was probably the most fun, you know, because like I said, it's like family.
Okay, thank you.
It still is. Anybody else?
Could you tell us a short story about Ace Frehley? He's a big loss, and we knew that we know.
Not. I'm still dealing with it. This last week, I'll be very honest with you guys. If I could have gone home, I would have gone home. But I had to come stay and do these shows. I just didn't feel like doing anything. I just wanted to go home. And him and one other guy, a drummer that I used to play with, he died about 2 years ago. And they were the last links to my teenage years. Because I knew Ace since I was 19. And that, he was the last link to that period of my life. It's gone. So, like I said, if I could have gone home, I would have. I mean, the last show that we did in Slovakia was the first show that my head felt like it was starting to come back a little bit. But for that first week after it happened, I was trying to do the shows, but it's like your head is just not there. So, I mean, imagine somebody who is a close friend of yours that goes back to your teenage years. They don't have to be famous. It can be anybody that you're close to. And that link between your teenage years is now cut. You know, it's not coming back. So that's tough. And I'm sure when I get home, I'll process it more in my head because, you know, we're busy while we're out here. But the first week afterwards, it just sucked.
We are sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.